Bahrain testing has started and Ferrari's diffuser is already turning heads across the entire paddock. The Maranello engineers have done something genuinely remarkable. They've pushed the regulation volumes to the absolute limit by extending the extractor with central extensions that climb along the sides of the rear impact structure. This is not a simple diffuser solution. It's an elaborate, aggressive approach that no rival has dared replicate at this level. Mercedes and Williams have something similar, but nowhere near as refined. And the competition noticed immediately. Already at Barcelona, someone had their eyes fixed on the rear of that car. But there's more. The lateral radiator inlets are shaped in a very particular way. The front multi-link suspension carries a more aggressive philosophy, and the SF-26's rear end seems to move quite a lot on track. Hamilton even spun at the start of the session, a machine that's anything but timid, with targeted solutions that have already captured everyone's attention. Stay with me because what I'm about to explain is genuinely fascinating. One of the most interesting technical details emerging from Bahrain testing concerns the SF-26's diffuser. Maranello engineers extended the extractor with central extensions that develop along the sides of the rear impact structure to improve its efficiency and downforce generation. In plain terms, there's more useful surface area to extract air from under the floor. And when you extract more air from under the floor, you generate more aerodynamic load. That's the key principle. The geometry Ferrari chose helps amplify the extraction of airflows and therefore makes the entire floor work significantly better. What's surprising isn't so much that the diffuser extends, but the way it does it. On the SF-26, the extractor stretches beyond the horizontal support that anchors the rear wing at the bottom, effectively creating a unified structure. This allows Ferrari's solution to extend further than those of rivals, reaching all the way up to hook onto the rear wing support itself. The versions seen on Mercedes W17 and Williams FW48, while based on the same principle, haven't pushed as far, stopping roughly halfway up the rear impact structure height. Ferrari went considerably further, exploiting every millimeter available. But there's another interesting element here. This extension works together with two small separate aerodynamic appendages positioned in the upper part of the impact structure. The diffuser extension and these appendages are not physically connected. Between them, a genuine blowing effect is created, but they're designed to operate in perfect synergy. Worth noting, those appendages are also close to the rear wing and rear suspension zone. This means when the movable wing opens, the interaction changes, and the effect can vary significantly on the straight. Far from a trivial solution, the competition noticed right away, and the question now is, will they copy it? Replicating Ferrari's solution doesn't seem particularly complex from a construction standpoint. It would be enough to modify the carbon section to extend the extractor further, or add two small supports onto the rear impact structure. The problem isn't copying it, the problem is making it work as a whole. In aerodynamics, nothing lives in isolation. Every piece connects to the others. If you change the diffuser, you have to adapt the floor, beam wing, rear wing, mechanical setup. It's an ecosystem. It will be fascinating to see whether anyone attempts to replicate the Ferrari solution or whether it remains a weapon specific to the SF-26. Some teams like Red Bull have chosen to work in this zone differently, adding elements without physically extending the extractor. Every car has its own characteristics, and it's far from certain that this solution, especially in a sensitive area like the diffuser, works the same way for everyone. It's clear, though, that Maranello's technicians have dedicated serious attention to this area to make the extractor work as effectively as possible. And when rivals start staring at your diffuser, it means you've genuinely done something interesting back there. But it's not only the diffuser that catches the eye. Looking at Bahrain photos, another choice becomes clearer. The lateral radiator inlets are shaped in the lower section and flattened toward the chassis. This zone is fundamental not just for cooling, but for how air channels under the side pods. If you manage to create a high-pressure zone at the sides of the cockpit, you can better repel turbulence generated by the front wheels, and this helps everything the floor is doing. Ferrari is trying to control airflow with very precise management throughout the car. Then there's the front suspension. Viewed from three quarters, you notice a more aggressive philosophy compared to the past, with the upper triangle finely angled to better guide air arriving from the front wing. However, compared to some rivals, Ferrari's front end seems less extreme, particularly the rear wishbone, which isn't as far back and elongated as on other cars. Is this a more conservative choice, or is it coherent with the car's overall balance? We'll only understand this on track with real data and precise comparisons across multiple circuits. From early on-track impressions, without definitive onboard footage, it seems the Ferrari moves quite a lot at the rear. From the sound, from the driver's corrections, you can perceive a rear end that isn't the simplest to manage. Hamilton's spin at the start of the session signals the limit isn't yet completely stable and predictable. But caution is needed here. We don't know whether this is an aerodynamic choice, perhaps a more extreme setup with a lighter rear for testing certain configurations, or a mechanical traction issue. It had already been said these new cars work more on the front end, and theoretically this should favor drivers who like strong front-end feel. And here an interesting aspect about the drivers emerges. Hamilton is less comfortable when the rear is unstable, while Leclerc prefers more front grip and manages the rear on his own terms. Leclerc has a more oversteering driving style compared to Hamilton naturally. With these new car generations loading more onto the front axle, Leclerc could find himself more at ease than Hamilton, at least in the early stages. But there'll be a progressive adaptation from both drivers to this new 2026 driving style, and drawing hasty conclusions now would be premature and potentially misleading. Ferrari on their first Bahrain day did excellent work, collecting lots of data and completing many real track laps with both Hamilton and Leclerc. Quietly, without proclamations, the SF-26 ground through kilometers and precious information consistently. The change of shapes also seen at Audi this morning confirms how much teams are pushing creativity to extract maximum performance from these new regulations. Very different solutions across numerous elements, sometimes radically opposing philosophies between manufacturers. The difference comes from the details, especially at the rear of the car. In my view, Ferrari have brought to Bahrain a machine with genuinely intelligent solutions. The extended diffuser hooking onto the rear wing support is a brilliant move. More extraction surface, more load, and in synergy with the appendages, it creates a sophisticated system no rival has yet equaled. The fact rivals were already studying that rear end at Barcelona is the best possible compliment. And in 2026, this zone is fundamental because with a rear wing from a restricted regulation box, the diffuser becomes even more important for generating downforce throughout the car. The unstable rear with Hamilton spinning concerns me slightly, but as I said, it could be a deliberate choice to explore the limits early. The new cars loading onto the front favor Leclerc's style, and that's an interesting signal for understanding which of the two drivers will feel more comfortable in this SF-26. We're only at the beginning, more data needed, more laps, more comparisons. But one thing is certain, the SF-26 is not a timid Ferrari.